I am a therapist and I have my clients asking me all the time, but how do I stop myself from getting carried away with my emotions? So for example, if anger is a problem for you, then what do you do not to act on that feeling in that particular moment where you are triggered? And so I'm going to do this by giving you an example of something I experienced the other day. As a therapist, how did I actually deal with that difficult situation? So I was having a bit of a tough time with my son the other day who has ADHD, and he was just not listening at all. I could really feel like my anger started to build up a little bit. So that all I needed to do is that I needed to put a break between the way I was feeling and between my response. So I needed to widen that gap because all I wanted to do in that particular time was just to shout at him, yell at him. The first thing I did, I actually started humming, because when you are humming, you cannot think. And I could already feel my thoughts were escalating and they were getting angrier and angrier. And I changed the room and I started going, because when you do that, you can't think. And then I keep banging on about how important it is to shift your perspective. I actually started looking at it from his perspective. He has ADHD, he's having some difficulties at school. Could he have had a bad day at school? Once I was able to have a little bit more control over the escalation of my angry thoughts, and that I started calming down a little bit more, I decided to shift my thinking from how dare he's not listening to me to, did he have a really tough day today? I actually just stepped into his shoes and tried to empathize with him, what he might be going through as an ADHD child in a primary school. And this has honestly changed my whole perspective, how I was feeling. So then I was able to just go sit down next to him and just calmly ask him, how are you doing? How are things with you? And so we were able to have a good conversation. It doesn't mean that, of course, it is always going to be like this. There might be times that you might come across further difficulties, but it is so important that you widen the gap between the event and your reaction, followed by shifting your perspective.